you, Jeannie. Merry Christmas, everybody. That was lovely. What a lovely transition to our worship. Welcome to Christmas Day worship. And some of you may be in your cozy jammies. I am. And some of you may not be. That's just fine. Welcome to our intimate little Zoom worship today on Christmas morning. I am going to, just a heads up about what's coming later in the service. We have a lot of videos that we're sharing today, and we're also going to be lighting a candle. I'm going to be lighting a candle, but it's going to be sitting here on my computer because I needed to move rooms because one of my kids has occupied my office as a bedroom. So we're going to be lighting a Christ candle, and also I want you to be thinking now about whether you would like to share a Christmas story from your past, something that made Christmas special for you when you were a kid, or just any reflections, thoughts about what makes Christmas special for you, how Jesus is incarnated in your life, has come to be real in your life around Christmas time. So I think that's all the heads up I want to give you. And so we will move into our land acknowledgements, which we do at the beginning of all of our worship services. And today I'm going to be doing both of them. So from Markham, we come together on this Christmas morning on land that has sustained countless generations of people over thousands of years. People who have rejoiced at births and mourned at deaths and gathered for communal festivities like we do today at Christmas time. We acknowledge that in Markham, we walk and meet upon the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe people, and that we are all treaty people on the lands of the Williams Treaty. And I want to share with you a video that was made for the Evensong community. That is a Wednesday evening group that's been meeting for more than 20 years here in Canmore, and that is the main worshiping community that Greg and I are both able to go to on Wednesday evenings. I apologize that the sound is very low. So if you're having difficulty hearing, it's because the sound is low. It's not because something's wrong with your computer. So here is an opening prayer and a land acknowledgement from my part of the world in Canada.
Holy her creatures, holy the lives of the indigenous peoples who walked this land before us and are our neighbors still. Siksika, Piikani, Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda nations, Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley, with whom we share the land, the sacred waters, the skies. We give thanks for their stewardship of this earth, and may their example inspire us to love and care for creation. Holy every gentle step taken with gratitude. Holy the light that shines on friend and stranger, and holy this night of long darkness, of dreaming. We pray, God of watchers in the night, God of lanterns lit, our waiting turns from anxiety to anticipation when what is hoped for feels like a sure thing. May the lamps we raise and the light we cast cut the gloom around us so that we become a beacon for your brighter day to come. Amen.
I hope that wasn't too jerky. I was moving, trying to adjust things, so I hope it didn't interrupt the actual flow of the video. Friends, you are so welcome in this place. It looks like we have 22 sign-ins this morning. Welcome to all of you. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your faith journey, whatever you may have doubts about or whatever you may believe, we will walk with you on this spiritual path together. We will love you, and whomever you love, you are welcome here at St. Andrew's. And we're glad that you have chosen to worship with us on this Christmas morning. Just a couple of announcements. Next Sunday on January the 1st will be an in-person and hybrid service. And Michelle Irwin is going to be leading that service, and it will be an interactive conversational service, or the reflection time will be interactive and conversational about New Year's resolutions for this family of faith. And on January 8th, very exciting that the search committee is holding a congregational meeting at 9:30 to introduce you to the candidate that they feel is a really good match for St. Andrews, and you'll have a chance, members will have an opportunity to take a vote on that, on whether to go ahead with extending the call to that candidate. And also, I just wanted to highlight that Reverend Tim is available for pastoral care at this time, and his information is in the order of service. Let's take a moment, and if you're comfortable turning your video on, let's pass the peace of Christ to one another as we scroll through and say hello. Oh, I'm seeing sunshine coming in several of your windows. Good morning and Merry Christmas. So lovely to see you all on this Christmas morning. I'm going to invite you to come together with me in a prayer of confession, and I think this is the first thing on the PowerPoint. So you're invited to say the words along with me if you wish. God of stables, stars, and surprises, of light and hope and new life, open our eyes and hearts to your presence in our world. Forgive our obsession with property and possessions. Forgive our compromises and narrowness of vision. Open us to your grace that we might hear again the song of the angels and respond with a song in our hearts and our lives. Amen. And we could just leave the PowerPoint up because we're going to sing. Our first carol with Jeannie is Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and we're singing verses 1 and 3. Well, if you have a candle handy, I am going to invite you to light it at this time. And we are reminded of the central candle of our Advent wreaths, which did remain unlit through the season of Advent as we were in the season of waiting for the light to come into the world in the baby Jesus Christ. So it is around Jesus that we meet and worship. You're not going to see it, but my candle is going to remain right here. I don't have my cupboard that I usually put it on. Yes, we live and breathe and sleep and exist in the light of Christ at all times and in all places. And when we gather to worship, we light a candle to make that concrete for us. We have several very interesting videos to share and today. And the first video that I'm going to share with content in it is from our moderator, Reverend Dr. Carmen Lansdowne. And this is her Christmas greeting.
My church family, Christmas greetings to you in the name of the one who came to us as the Word made flesh, in the form of a baby born into lowly and humble beginnings. We recite through the Gospel of John, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." It's cryptic at best, but there's a reason we read the Gospels alongside the Hebrew Scriptures. Listen to the words of the prophet Isaiah. "How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the messenger who announces peace, who brings good news, who announces salvation, and who says to Zion, 'Your God reigns.' Listen, your sentinels lift up their voices, and together they sing for joy. For in plain sight they see the return of the Lord to Zion. Break forth together into singing, you ruins of Jerusalem, for the Lord has comforted his people, and he has redeemed Jerusalem. The Lord has bared his holy arm before the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our God." We often associate the prophetic texts with dire warnings against our human fallibility and our worst individual and corporate character defects. But in this case, Isaiah is preaching a good news story, one of beauty, peace, good news, joy, comfort, redemption, vulnerability, and salvation. What could be a better news story in the arrival of the Christ child than remembering all that good news promised to us through our faith? Not that we get to those things because of our faith, just that our faith reminds us every year in the remembering of the coming of the Christ child that all things are made new or possible again, that God wishes us to have life and to have it in abundance. Sometimes it's hard to remember with the constant assault of bad news stories meant to keep us in a state of perpetual stress and believing the worst in each other, when in fact, all empirical evidence points to the opposite. Humans are generally decent and committed to the fabric of our societies and our social contracts with each other, that we are capable of great feats of innovation, kindness, overcoming obstacles, and achieving the impossible. We were born to achieve the impossible. And not only in the absence of crisis, but even more strongly in times of crisis. So this year, when so much seems uncertain and the news amplifies all the hard news stories, remember that when the Word is made flesh, there is one who came to show us that all the ends of the earth should see the salvation of God, and that through that one, we are capable of coming together to achieve the impossible. From the office of the moderator and on behalf of the United Church of Canada, I wish you the very merriest and most inspirational of Christmases. May you be the good news and see the good news and share the good news this Christmas season.
that might be the first time that many of you have seen our new moderator, Reverend Dr. Carmen Lansdowne. She's lovely. We're going to sing Infant Holy, Infant Lowly. So over to you, Jeannie. The next video you're going to see is of our own Tara Truscott reading a story, A Child is Born, and this was written by Margaret Wise Brown. Many of us read her story, Goodnight Moon, to our kids, but this is a new book that has been illustrated by Floyd Cooper with just very stunning illustrations. So I will invite Yvonne to screen share that for us now.
Good morning and Merry Christmas. I'm going to share the book A Child is Born by Margaret Wise Brown and illustrated by Floyd Cooper. A child is born. O come, country shepherds, O follow the light, and welcome the baby this blessed night. Come, wise men, to worship, O come to the barn. The sweetest of babies is here safe and warm. O come, wild birds, descend, gentle dove, and angels from heaven to give him your love. Come, little sheep, O look and see. The baby is smiling on his mother's knee. Come in joy, come in peace, O come right away. A child is born on this Christmas day.
So a big thank you to Tara for recording that for us. I asked her for some suggestions for children's Christmas books, and wow, she gave me such a great list. That was the most beautiful one. You're going to hear another children's story, book, not necessarily a children's book, though, a little later in the service. And we're going to enjoy a Ministry of Music video from our own choir, singing Come and Sing the Christmas Story. And Yvonne thinks this was recorded in 2017. Let's go visit a bit of history. Isn't it lovely that we have the technology to be able to share um, gifts shared in previous days? We're going to hear Ken read from the first chapter of the Gospel of John, and it's a very different, it's often shared at this time of year along with the birth stories from Matthew and from Luke. And it's an important story to hear, even though it's very different. Ken, to you.
Good morning. Today's scripture is from John chapter 1, verses 1 through 14. The Word became flesh. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him not one thing came into being. What has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of the people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overtake it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. He himself was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world came into being through him, yet the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, and in his own people did not accept him. But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who are born not of blood or of the will of the flesh or the will of man, but of God. And the Word became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. This is the word of the Lord.
Thank you, Ken. This is an important reading to read at Christmas time because we have the concrete stories of Jesus' birth, very different versions in the Gospels of Matthew and Luke. But actually, these Gospels were all being written at about the same time. Luke and Matthew were shared a bit earlier than John. The Gospel of John was in wider circulation around 90 Common Era. Matthew and Luke more 70, 80 in the Common Era. And what we hear in this prologue to the Gospel of John is an understanding, like lifting up the idea of Christ being a part of the whole creation story, and that the person of Christ was God incarnate, coming to live among the people. And that that comes through in the other stories, but this is really the main event story for not only this first chapter, but like the other gospel stories that sort of set the theme for how they tell the Jesus story. In John, this does set the theme of Jesus, the divine incarnation. And what's important for us is to be considering how as the body of Christ, we continue to incarnate God in our world. And what I would like to do is have us share some stories. I hope some of you have been thinking about what you would like to share around your Christmas story. I'm going to share, I think I may have shared this on Boxing Day last year, but I'm going to share a story, and then I would like to open the room up. We can go out of speaker view and into gallery view, and you can let us know if you want to speak and unmute yourself and tell your story. So my story takes place the year that we as a family experienced Christ incarnated in the community was in, let me see, 1994. It was the first year that we were in Alberta, and I was doing an intentional interim year at ProShoe Alberta. And my husband was at home with our three little kids, including one 2-year-old and 2 6-year-olds. And we had decided that we would get through Christmas Eve and then leave quite early on Christmas morning to drive back to Saskatchewan, to Regina, where my mom and Greg's parents were, and have our family Christmas in Regina. We would travel on Christmas Day, and we knew that was risky, but that was what we had decided to do. About 2 weeks before Christmas, the twins started to get sick, and they got sick and they got better. And then little Jordan got sick and got better. And Greg and I both had some symptoms of this cold flu that was going around, but we soldiered on. And I had 3 Christmas Eve services that year because the Christmas Eve. So I had a Christmas Eve service in Trocho, and I had Christmas Eve service in Huxley and one in Elnor. And the one in Huxley was important because it was like closing service for that congregation. And so it had been a long night. And I got home, we got the kids tucked up into bed. did the Santa Claus thing. And then the next morning I woke up and I could not move. And Greg woke up and he could barely move. We were so sick. And so we knew right away that there was not going to be a trip to Saskatchewan, not for a few days anyway. And we did manage to take care of our kids, but someone in the congregation knew what our plan, well, lots of people knew what our plans were, but they noticed that there were lights on in the house around noon, and they knew that something wasn't right because we should have been gone for 4 or 5 hours by that time. And so someone called us and learned that we were very, very sick. And the kind of care that we had over the next few days was amazing. The most wonderful gift that Greg and I could actually consume was a gift of potato soup from one of our members. We weren't able to keep very much down, but we were able to keep that potato soup down, and it was nourishing. And then later the day on Christmas, a box arrived from another household that had a full turkey dinner. The household was sharing their turkey dinner with us. So at least our kids got to have a turkey dinner that day. And that remains for me one of the most powerful stories of how Jesus came to us when we really needed help, in the form of other people caring for us. They didn't know us that well. I was only with them for a year, but they loved us dearly, and it was wonderful to receive that kind of gift. So Dave, I'm going to suggest that we go out of, like, remove the spotlight and go into gallery view, if that's possible from your end. And there we go. And if anyone would like to unmute and tell your story, or you could put your hand up, or you could raise your hand like that. And I see that Ilon and Marg have already done that. Yes, go ahead, Ilon and Marg. Do you want to unmute yourself? There we go.
Well, this is a story of 1944. This is during the war. We were still in the Netherlands. And my dad had gotten a Christmas tree. He put it up. We put some decorations on. I remember the small candles my mother had. So we put clothes pegs on the tree and we lit the candles. Well, lo and behold, the tree caught fire. So my dad opened the door up, or the window up, and threw the tree and everything out. Well, we went out and gathered what we could, the candles and that, and we came back inside and sat around and sang Christmas carols. But my mother had also gotten hold of a waffle iron. So we took the top of the stove off, and the family had waffles. And I remember that was the first Christmas that I can remember. You know, we had been evacuated from, because my parents owned property near the dunes, and they were going to blow the dunes because they wanted to move the Germans embedded that were in the lowlands out of there. So he had been moved to a location further inland because he was part of the underground. And anyway, that was my first Christmas that I can ever remember. And we had waffles.
Oh, wow. And you were saved from a fire.
Yes.
Those trees that had the European tradition of having live candles on trees, so
Yeah.
beautiful, but oh my goodness, so dangerous too. And oh, what a sweet memory of having waffles. Thank you.
Yeah.
And let me see, I will lower your hand. Would someone else like to put your hand up either in person or use the raise hand function to tell a story? Yvonne, and then Jeannie.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon. My story is very bare facts. When we were small, we had very little money, and what my mom used to do for Christmas and birthdays was to buy fabric in the store in the city and make our Christmas presents. So all my dolls, until I probably reached double digits, were made out of fabric. And you know, they say what goes around comes around, because the crafts people are making them, but much more stylish. And I mean, we were so excited about this. And the first Christmas, my dad gave us cash because I guess he figured we were old enough. We went up and we got our Christmas money, and I got $4. And I was so excited. $4. Now, can you imagine giving your child $4 for Christmas now? No. So, it's just the time that tells what's going on. And now we're in a different era where things are just so different. And we as older folks must learn to adapt to what is going on. And my two children were here for my daughter's 50th birthday on the 25th of November, and we did everything we would have been doing today. And it seems kind of strange that we won't be together today, and especially because of the weather, but they're adults and they understand. And what is important to everyone at Christmas is sharing love, whether it's in person or otherwise like we're doing on Zoom. Thank you all for listening. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Yvonne. And I'm thinking that $4 would have been really valuable, because I'm thinking back when I was young, and when my granny would give me $1, I could buy 10 Jersey milks with that.
I almost broke my legs jumping around. I wouldn't do it
Pretty
now.
precious.
Thank
Thank you for sharing that. Jeannie, would you like to unmute and tell your story?
My story is a childhood memory. We always used to go to my maternal grandmother's for Christmas dinner, and it would be the extended family. There would be 20, 25 people of us together, and aunts, uncles, cousins, had a joyous time. But we always made sure that we gathered around the piano and would sing Christmas carols. And I do truly miss that. That was something that I grew up with and look forward to every Christmas.
Yes, gathering around the piano. That doesn't happen nearly often enough now, does it? Thank you. Who would like to share a story? You can put your virtual hand up or just put your hand up in front of the screen. Are there more stories to share? I have one more story that I could share that it's not as sparkly a story or happy a story, but an important story that shaped me when I was about. So as I was growing up, we would be in Regina at my maternal grandmother's place. We generally go in on Christmas Eve, and then we would have dinner together, Christmas dinner together with my mom's siblings. And one of the years, I would have been about 12 years old, we were at one of my uncles, and he lived on the edge of Regina at the time, and very close to TransCanada. And we were all just doing our thing. I was playing with my cousins, and the adults were visiting and talking, and there came a ring at the door. And nobody was expecting anybody else. And when the door was answered, a very rough-looking man was invited in to their house. And it turned out that this person had been traveling, and a car broke down on the Trans-Canada Highway, and he had come to, like, walked through the snow, and my uncle's yard was the only yard that was open. Everyone else had fences next to the highway, but his yard was open, and this person was very cold and clearly in need. And it was an uncomfortable situation because you don't expect a stranger to come to the door on Christmas Eve, on Christmas Day. But it was an important thing for me to witness as a child, and for all of us, because my uncle and aunt invited him in graciously and asked him what he needed, provided him with a phone, gave him a cup of coffee off the top, and gave him, like, he made plans to on what he was going to do, the connection that he was going to make. And they sent him away. He went away with a package of Christmas dinner. And so it was an important experience for me to see kindness, unexpected kindness, on a Christmas day when someone was cold and in need. So that's my second story. Anyone else have a story to share with us? If you're not wanting to share, that's okay. I hope that this has sparked an opportunity to go down memory lane and think about your own stories and your own history, and times when you have had an experience of Christmas coming to life through other people in your life. When I mentioned that Tara had provided me with a list of lovely children's stories. And one of them that I found very moving, that I would like to share with you, is a poem by Maya Angelou. It's called An Amazing Peace. And she actually tells a little bit about the story of where this poem came from. And just give me a second. Actually, I need to quickly set it up so that it comes up on my screen share here. To do it. Amazing Peace.
Amazing Peace by Maya Angelou. Read for you by the author.
When I was invited to attend the Christmas tree lighting at the White House and to deliver a poem on the occasion, I was honored. Tsunami, a major earthquake, Katrina and Rita had already happened to our world. I thought of the evacuees and realized that in times of hostilities and natural disasters, each human being becomes an evacuee. I thought that what we need now most, more than food and water, is peace. I wrote this poem, Amazing Peace. Thunder rumbles in the mountain passes, and lightning rattles the eaves of our houses. Flood waters await in our avenues. Snow falls upon snow, falls upon snow, to avalanche over unprotected villages. The sky slips low and gray and threatening. We question ourselves. What have we done to so affront nature? We interrogate and worry God. Are you there? Are you there really? Does the covenant you made with us still hold? Into this climate of fear and apprehension, Christmas enters, streaming lights of joy, ringing bells of hope, and singing carols of forgiveness high up in the bright air. The world is encouraged to come away from rancor, come the way of friendship. It is the glad season. Thunder ebbs to silence, and lightning sleeps quietly in the corner. Flood waters recede into memory. Snow becomes a yielding cushion to aid us as we make our way to higher ground. Hope is born again in the faces of children. It rides on the shoulders of our aged as they walk into their sunsets. Hope spreads around the earth, brightening all things, even hate, which crouches breeding in dark corridors. In our joy, we think we hear a whisper. At first it is too soft, then only half heard. We listen carefully as it gathers strength. We hear a sweetness. The word is peace. It is loud now, louder than the explosion of bombs. We tremble at the sound. We are thrilled by its presence. It is what we have hungered for, not just the absence of war, but true peace, a harmony of spirit, a comfort of courtesies, security from our beloveds and their beloveds. We clap hands and welcome the peace of Christmas. We beckon this good season to wait a while with us. We Baptist and Buddhist, Methodist and Muslim say, come peace, come and fill us and our world with your majesty. We, the Jew and the Jainist, the Catholic and the Confucian, implore you, stay a while with us, so we may learn by your shimmering light how to look beyond complexion and see community. It is Christmas time, a halting of hate time. On this platform of peace, we can create a language to translate ourselves to ourselves and to each other. At this holy instant, we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ into the great religions of the world. We jubilate the precious advent of trust. We shout with glorious tongues the coming of hope. All the earth's tribes loosen their voices to celebrate the promise of peace. We, angels and mortals, believers and non-believers, look heavenward and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at our world and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at each other, then into ourselves, and we say without shyness or apology or hesitation, peace, my brother. Peace, my sister. Peace, my soul.
We hope you have enjoyed listening to Amazing Peace by Maya Angelou. This program was produced by Charles Potter. The executive producer was Sherry Huber. Text copyright 2005 by Maya Angelou.
So thank you to Maya Angelou for writing such a powerful message of peace. Friends, let's join Jeannie and sing together, Still, Still, Still.
Still, 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 the
Joy, joy, joy. Glad tidings of great joy. For through God's holy incarnation, Christ is born for our salvation. Joy, joy, joy. Glad tidings of great joy.
Friends, we're at a time in the service when we would ordinarily continue worshiping by collecting offering. And we haven't been doing that for a while, but this congregation has shown amazing resilience and ongoing amazing generosity in so many ways. I hope that if you haven't received your thank you letter for those who have donated to St. Andrews this year, you will be getting it shortly. And it is quite amazing to consider all the things that have been accomplished and continue to be accomplished in this community of faith through a difficult time. And so I would like to invite us to consider all the gifts that you have received from this community of faith, and let's dedicate the gifts of time and talent and treasure as we sing together the third verse and chorus of Angels We Have Heard on High.
Come to Bethlehem and see Christ who is birth, the angels sing. Come adore our newborn King, Christ on earth, the newborn King.
We're going to come together in prayer, and I'm going to use the transition prayer for St. Andrews. And when we come to the Lord's Prayer, you will notice that on the PowerPoint that our first line, we're test driving this. Beloved, in whom is heaven, is what we're test driving, because in the actual Aramaic that Jesus spoke, the word womb is not Abba, and it's not mother, but it is like a combination of Abba and the word for womb. And so this is a translation that get a little closer to the meaning of what Jesus was saying to his disciples. So I invite you to join with me in prayer. Holy One, we invite you into this place. We ask that you fill us and our church with your Holy Spirit. Lord, as we venture in and out of seasons of change, loss, joy, and everything in between, we pray that you will grant us peace and that we will rest in your truth and know that you hold everything in your hands. Lord, we pray for your guidance as we move forward in search of a minister whose heart mirrors your own. We ask for your wisdom at this time, that you will help and keep us through this transition period. As we seek you and keep you at the center of all we do, we pray for good leadership to support our recovery from the separation and loss caused by the pandemic. We ask for great faith and resilience as we return to more in-person interactions. We pray for reconnection within our church and community, that those who felt disconnected will come to see St. Andrew's United Church as a place of great love, mercy, kindness, and comfort. We pray that our neighbors who need the support and love of a faith family will be embraced by us, and that we pray that you will give us strength to stand up for what is right, accept one another without judgment, and open our hearts to receive those around us according to your goodness and grace. We thank you, Holy One, for the fellowship and support we have experienced through this congregation. Thank you, God, your hand is over each and every one of us. You care for us so deeply that you will never leave nor forsake us. God, we believe in your mighty power, and with all our hearts, we know that you are going to do incredible things with us, and for this church. We surrender it all to you and trust you as we look to the future with great hope. For a moment, in silence, let us bring to God our deepest prayers, concern, and celebration. Holy One, we thank you that our prayers are closer to you than our own breath. And we close this time of prayer, gathering all of our prayers together into the one prayer that Jesus taught his followers. Beloved, in whom is heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, glory. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. The words are right in front of me, and I stumble over them sometimes. Let's sing our final carol together. Number 36, Angels from the Realm of Glory. There's nothing boxed in Jesus' love. Not rules, not borders, not petty disagreements. We too are called to let love break loose in and through our lives. As we leave, may God bless us to live with a caring and daring love, one that not only knows it is better to give than to receive, but it also knows that it is in giving that we do receive. May God, who is our Creator, and Jesus Christ, our Redeemer, and the Holy Spirit, our Sustainer, bless us to live generously today and in all the days to come. Amen.